I was chatting with somebody a few weeks back,
Mm-hmm.
and this person had come to me for some help, and they'd been given feedback, believe it or not, exactly that they were not good enough at strategic thinking. And I said to this person, well, I think that's rubbish because I don't believe anybody actually knows what strategic thinking is. It's one of these things that, it's got the word strategic on, so it must be good, and it's got the word thinking, so I'm trying to look inside your brain and tell you what happens in there.
Right.
But it's weirdly abstract. And so I said to this colleague, tell me something that's worked really well for you in the last 2 weeks that you're really proud of. A person told me a story about having to create some piece of change, and how they'd gone around and lined up a bunch of stakeholders beforehand and spent time with each one and heard concerns. And I said, did you plan that? And the person said, yeah. And I said, well, if that's not strategic thinking, God knows what is.
That's awesome.
And then, what were you thinking? Why did you do it that way? Could you take that experience that works and point it at something else? Could you do it more? Could you do it in more different walks of life? And that sort of encapsulates the whole discussion of feedback. This person had a label affixed to them that was a deeply erroneous, I think, and pejorative label, and they were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
They were in a pretty bad place. But if you flip it and go, our job isn't to label you and then leave you the hard work of figuring out what on earth does it mean and what am I meant to be doing here?
Where do I begin? Yeah.
Where do I start with that? Where do you start with that? I still don't know. But instead, find what works, find how to make more of it, because of course the raw material of excellent performance is good performance. It's never the case that the raw material of excellent performance is poor performance. The world doesn't work like that. Excellence is its own creature. And so, lots of folks encountering this research about feedback and the way that we're describing it will say, well, hang on, I've still got to tell people if stuff's going wrong. That's the big pushback that you get. To which the answer is, if somebody's missed a fact, then brilliant, go for it. If they've missed a step and there's a clearly defined process for this job that has 8 sequential steps, then yes, of course. But beyond that, be very, very careful. If there's an outcome that somebody hasn't delivered, then by all means say, look, you missed the outcome. What's your best way of getting to that outcome in the future? But to the extent you go, you missed an outcome, you've got to do this my way. Here's what my way is, which is basically most feedback. Most feedback is me saying to you, you'd be better if you were more like me. Here's me. And just sort of throwing all of that over the fence and leaving you to deal with it. But if you have a conversation about outcomes and how best to reach them, how the other person can best reach them, okay, we're in an interesting space now. But remediation doesn't get you excellent. It just gets you not bad. And the world is crying out today in every walk of life that you could imagine for us all to contribute more of what we have to offer. We're not going to get there by giving one another feedback the whole time.